Shifting gears now to the NFL world because Lamar Jackson kind of feels like he's in limbo, and his team, the Baltimore Ravens, just signed Odell Beckham Jr. to a 1-year, $18 million deal, $13 million signing bonus. Odell, of course, coming off a second torn ACL. Technically, he says he didn't play with the torn ACL when he went to a Super Bowl and won it with the Rams. I'll be honest with you guys. I think Odell is going to win Super Bowl MVP if he didn't tear his ACL versus the Bengals. Of course, after his huge touchdown, he does. And I look at him now at 30 years old. I still think Odell is a top 25 receiver, even if he just missed all of last season, because we've seen his body control, his athleticism. The run after a catch ability was still there. And giving him a full offseason to recover with Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews as the number one here, I think Baltimore made the obvious choice. That's giving Lamar some help. Rashad Bateman coming off a Liz Frank injury, but there's still one piece missing for Baltimore, and that's a young receiver in the draft. You add in Todd Monken from Georgia, who did a really good job these last couple of years with Stetson Bennett, and he's helped made Stetson an NFL draft prospect. Baltimore's offense next year can be something special if in the first round they find one of these receivers like Quentin Johnston or Zay Flowers, he's a lightning rod, or Jackson Smith and Jigma, one of the best slot receivers in the nation. He probably won't be there in the 20s. I just think the Ravens are one piece away offensively from being a top 3 team in the AFC. And what this move, signing Odell Beckham Jr., signals to me is that the Ravens are going to keep Lamar. The market has dried. I said it when he requested the trade. Lamar's not going anywhere. He's sticking right here in Baltimore because with his defense and the support he's about to have offensively, this Raven team is going to give him a supporting cast like no other.
This is a major move and one that I honestly did not expect. You know, we look at Baltimore and we always talk about it being a destination where receivers don't want to go to because of the playing style over there. And I kind of get excited knowing that Odell chose this spot. And obviously some people say it's more of a money grab than anything because they offered was 1 year, $18 million. So yeah, that's probably the best offer he was going to get from anybody. But to see the Ravens actually invest in a receiver that we know, that we have seen play explosive football just as recently as 2 years ago, and he's capable of so much more. I'm too optimistic when I talk about Odell, but I still believe he can be a number one in this league. I still believe he can get 1,200 yards in a season if he stays healthy, and 10 plus touchdowns. If he's still that guy to me. I don't know if I'm just reminiscing too much on his days with the Giants, but I believe in a high flying offense, and an offense like Baltimore where they're going to be run heavy, but if you can get the ball out to a number one, quite like Odell, you're going to be very dangerous. And John hit the nail on the head when he says adding a guy like a Zay Flowers in there just makes you even more explosive because J.K. Dobbins is an absolute monster running the football. And anybody that you put in the backfield with Lamar Jackson is going to be lethal. So, and first off, let's get Lamar Jackson's deal done, and then we can talk about a little bit more with Ravens' hopes and aspirations for the next season.
I mean, right there, you hit on it. Or tweeted immediately. This is. I mean, there's honestly, yes, is this a money grab? 100%. I mean, the report was apparently OBJ went to the Jets and offered them they could match it, and the Jets were like, we're good. So there's no way in my mind OBJ didn't talk to Lamar before this deal was made. I understand the money, but I feel like you wouldn't just go there to go be playing with Tyler Huntley throwing you the football, right?
No shot.
No. So I think all points are all stars are aligning to Lamar Jackson headed back to Baltimore. And I think when we first actually ever talked about this on this show, I think this was back in August maybe or early September, I said, I don't think Lamar's going anywhere. It's weird to say this, but he was born to be a Baltimore Raven. He really does feel like it. He was Ozzie Newsome's last pick. I don't think he's going anywhere. I hope that contract that Adam Schefter reported on that was there early September, the basically 3 year, $133 million guaranteed with upwards of 175 to 200 million is still on the table. Maybe not. Yeah, but I think Lamar Jackson is staying as a Baltimore Raven. He's going to be thrown to, Mark Andrews as usual, and now OBJ. And it's hard. I know a lot of people would look at you crazy, Justin, for saying that about OBJ, but I do have that feeling too. And maybe it is just, we've seen it before, man. We've seen older receivers in the past have a resurgence. We saw it with OBJ in LA. He wasn't connecting with Baker. There just wasn't a wavelength, a connection there. He had like 2 or 3 surgeries while in Cleveland too, which just didn't help at all. He went to LA and him and Matt Stafford worked. He clicked with Cooper Kupp. He clicked with Sean McVay. He worked perfectly on that system. And like John said, tragically, he was on his way to a possible Super Bowl MVP and he tore his ACL. Now he's had 2 fully reconstructive ACL surgeries. 30 years old. Is that explosiveness probably going to be the same? No. Is the vert going to be there that it once was? No. But
you see the gentle decline with these receivers.
Yeah, I think OBJ still can. I think he's going to figure out a way. He's now entering this part where he's got to beat you more up here than with his physical attributes, and I think he is. I think we all agree that he's a pretty damn good route runner, crisp with his routes.
Super.
Yeah, he's got great hands. We know about the hands, right? So, I love hearing Skip Bayless bring this up. He says, just go watch one of OBJ's pre-game catching routines. That you should pay admission to just go see that because it's spectacular, the stuff that he does. So I think OBJ is going to figure out a way to make it work. I'm rooting for Lamar and OBJ. Go ahead, John. Yeah.
Just a year ago, I don't think they get past the 49ers in the NFC Championship game without him. He had 9 catches, 113 yards.
Oh, yeah.
His playmaking makes him the perfect number 2 to me. Mm-hmm. I still think, though you add him on a 1-year deal, this is a prove-it contract. And if Odell does get hurt this year, which is possible, you're going to look at somebody else that can be the more reliable number 2 to Lamar and Mark Andrews. And that's why you have to, at pick 22, take a receiver. At minimum, take one in the second round because this is a deeper wide receiver class. The more depth you have at receiver, the more Todd Monken can open up this entire playbook. And if we're going to really say Lamar now has no excuses, let's give him no excuses. Depth at the wide receiver position goes by fast. And that's why I think Odell's a great signing. I would grade this a B because he did pay him a lot of money at $15 to $18 million. But the need and the market, it's just perfect for Odell. And it's great for the Ravens. If he has a great season, you re-up that 2 years 30, 2 years 25 million in all season from now, and you have yourself what's going to be an absolute crazy piece. Now, I got to ask you guys this question. I'm higher on the Ravens than most people, actually, if Lamar does extend, which I'm expecting. In the current AFC, what are the 5 best teams? I'm going to give you a couple of different squads. I want you to rank them in order. We have the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Bills, the Ravens, the Jaguars. Then we have the Jets, who may get Aaron Rodgers, or they may not get Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if there's any other team after those 6.
Chargers.
How would you rank those 6 squads?
The Chargers got to be in there too.
Chargers at number 7 would be the last team. So, what is the best team in the AFC right now?
You want to go, Justin, or?
Yeah. Do you want to go? I go 1, you go 1, and then we bounce back just like that. Or do I go my full 5 and then you go?
I don't give a shit. Just go.
I'm gonna disagree with you, Justin. We know. I'm gonna disagree with you.
I'm taking the Chiefs, number 1.
I'm also taking the Chiefs.
Yeah, I really don't think that's much of a debate.
Consensus, yeah.
Yeah, I think we can all agree. I don't even need to go into the whole spiel about why they'd be number 1.
Number 2 with Lamar. Number 2, I'm expecting Lamar to resign. You bring in Odell. I really feel like the Ravens could be the second best team in the AFC, assuming you take one more receiver at pick 22. This is a good receiver class between Johnston and Zay Flowers.
You say assuming you pick a receiver early in the draft. First off, that receiver needs to hit. It's nothing's a guarantee. So you can draft a receiver in the first round. Me and Brandon know all too well that you can draft a receiver in the first round.
Yeah,
well, the Ravens aren't the Patriots. Assuming they don't draft a receiver.
Wait. Time out. Let me stop you. the Ravens have never drafted a Pro Bowl wide receiver in the history of their franchise.
Hollywood Brown's pretty close.
Not cutting it. Sorry, bud. That's Robbie Anderson, man.
He's not.
Another Robbie Anderson.
He's not a Pro Bowl wide receiver. And if he makes it, he's not going to be a Baltimore Raven. So that doesn't count. They've only had success signing older guys. Anquan Boldin, Steve Smith. Can't hear you, John.
Do the Ravens have a case with Odell, though, to be the second best team in the NFC? You had
No, I'll tell
Roquan
you
Smith.
this.
That's a top 5 defense with John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson.
100%.
I think the Ravens have just so much versatility now with Odell in the mix.
Yeah, no, listen, they're a scary team. I mean, there's no doubt about it, but I'm not going to, I mean, for me, it's interchangeable 2 and 3. You guys, it's Cincinnati and Jacksonville. I'm massively high on Jacksonville. I'm super.
I agree with
you.
you.
Not disagree with Justin.
No, I don't. I'm not putting Jacksonville above Buffalo. I'm not.
What?
I will.
They're
No,
a better
I'm
team.
not.
The
I
better
will.
head coach are.
I will.
No, that's more to me. Honestly, I believe that's
No,
so much shade towards Josh Allen.
it's
But,
not shade towards
Justin, it's
Josh.
not. That Bills
That's
team
not
has
even-
way more issues at
Yeah,
running
wait,
back,
hold
on the offensive line, at edge rusher. The Jaguars have way less and are way younger with more projectable growth.
We're as high as I am on the Jaguars. Believe me, I don't knock them one bit. But remember, we're talking about a team that blew what? What did they do?
They came back with 24.
No, I know, my bad. They came back, they lost, but this is a team that had no cap room and could improve in the offseason.
So they
We're
added
seeing the
Calvin
same
Ridley,
team.
who had
We're seeing Calvin
1,300
Ridley.
yards
But
2
we're
years
also
ago.
talking
3
about
years
a
ago.
team that's the only bit of postseason experience they have, and we're going to throw them up against the Buffalo Bills, who took
The Buffalo Bills
Chiefs
are
to the
not a
brink.
good team. They have Josh Allen, who has to mask all of their
Are not a good team, John.
They don't
What?
have a running back. They don't have a good offensive line. And with Von Miller coming off a torn
I
ACL at
wouldn't
34 years old,
Time out.
I'm not
Are
even
you
sure if
guys
they have a
saying
top 5
Buffalo's not
defense.
even- Is Buffalo not in your top 5 in the AFC?
Wait, I'm not.
They're not in my top 4. They're not right now. Up until you find an offensive line, up to find a running back and a better offensive line, I think Josh Allen is really being given the impossible task here against better teams with quality head coaches. I think the Ravens, Bengals, and Jaguars are 2, 3, and 4. Number 5 for me would then be the Bills.
All right, so Justin, I'm not gonna disrespect. Listen, you know how I'm not that high on Josh Allen, right? You know that, but I'm not gonna sit here and disrespect the Bills and call them not a good team, like John just said. That's a little too far.
They have a great quarterback.
Yeah, but I
don't
don't
like
think you
the
could be
roster
a-
much
I
after
don't think
that.
you could be the 5th best team in the AFC and be not a good team. I just that
They have
that
top 5
doesn't-
quarterback. That's why I put him in there. He doesn't have much support. Man.
I just don't think that correlates. I mean, you're the one who tells me it's a team game. I'm the one who makes the quarterback arguments here. So
You know what, Bram?
You want to be me now?
Obviously,
You want to be
I
me? You can have my
exaggerated. A
chair
little
if
bit
you
of
want.
hyperbole saying they're not a good team, but the Bills have a lot of issues, and with the way the roster's trending
They do.
relative to these teams, they're just worse
Yeah,
on
but
paper.
you know,
and we
I
saw
think-
that the last 3 years in
Oh,
the
wait,
playoffs.
no, Justin, I get it.
Again and
Let me
again
hear you,
against
Brandon.
all of these teams.
I hear
Bengals,
you.
Chiefs.
I'm bringing them down. That listen, my whole point was not just Josh Allen. I'm not disrespecting Josh. I'm saying, dude, I saw what the Jacksonville Jaguars did, taking that jump from Urban to Dougie P, and how Trevor Lawrence just completely transformed, how that team transformed, and we saw what they did. They came back from a big a lead against the San Diego, the Los Angeles Chargers. And then they went and played Kansas City in Kansas City and only lost by 7 points. 7.
No,
You say
you're
say
right.
they're not experienced. The team isn't. That head coach is.
The coaches.
The head coaches. And now they got some experience. Now they got a number 1 coming in Calvin Ridley, who's a true 1,000-yard wide receiver. They're going to draft. Those young players on the defense are going to get better. I truly believe the Jaguars are primed and ready. They're going to win that division. I think they're primed and ready to make that jump. I don't know how far I'm going with that. I still have to evaluate a couple of things in the draft and the offseason still to come and OTAs and etc. I'm not going to disrespect the Bills. What I would say is, like I said, Cincinnati and Jacksonville are kind of interchangeable for me. To finish it off, the Bills are kind of interchangeable with me too. I would say Bills, Chargers, Ravens are all kind of in that mix right there as the 5th team, because they all have these flaws that I look at that I don't like at all. while the other three teams, Jacksonville, Cincinnati, and Kansas City, I look at them and I say they can overcome, and I've seen them overcome these deficiencies.
And let me go clear this up. The Bills have won 11 to 13 games each of the last 4 years. I have a lot of Bill fans coming at me for saying they don't have a good team. They have a okay roster and a great quarterback in Josh Allen. And when I look at the Jaguars, they don't have many holes. They have a quality-proven Super Bowl winning head
Listen,
coach.
let's
And then
unleash
look at the
Justin, John.
Bengals.
Unleash
don't
him.
even-
The Bengals
Unleash
have
him.
built a really good offensive line. They don't have too many holes, and they have a really well-coached defense. And then at last, I look at who was my other team? At the Chiefs and Baltimore. The Baltimore Ravens have a top 5 defense and also a top eight quarterback that's won MVP. So that's why I had the Jaguars, Bills, and of course the Bengals ahead of the Bills. We've seen that in each of the last 2 years. They add in Damian Harris. That's a good signing, but I still don't know if that's going to be the solution to all of their problems in December, even in November, where they start to trend downward more and more. In this division, the Bills next year could be like a 10-win team that comes in third.
You know, for me, hearing people talk about the Bills now and all the hype surrounding the AFC with guys like Trevor Lawrence, understandably so, Aaron Rodgers potentially coming to the AFC East. To me, it sounds like to a lot of people, the Bills are suddenly becoming an afterthought in the AFC. They're slowly falling behind because they've lost a couple of playoff games to who? Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, the top 2 quarterbacks in the AFC, probably. And honestly, I'm surprised you say Ravens 2 and not Bengals 2. My 1 and 2 is Kansas City and then Cincinnati, just because you got to give respect to Joe Burrow. And then number 3, I'm going to go with Buffalo for the simple fact that, like I said, I think a lot of people are going to be down and out on them going into the season because of some defensive shortcomings and, you know, what they've lacked on offense. But I do feel like in the draft, they're going to address all the issues that they need, and things will look a whole lot different. The NFL season changes on a week-to-week basis. You guys will be looking at the Buffalo Bills in a different light week 8 and look at them even more different in week 11.
You sure about that? I look at them more and more negatively each year, week 11. Don't you think Von Miller's torn ACL really hurts their defense?
Yeah, it does. It hurt them tremendously, and we saw that this season.
And after taking running backs in 3 of the last 4 years, finding no solution to any of those guys between Moss, Cook, and Singletary, that, hey, they may try to address these position leads, but maybe the Bills just aren't that good at drafting either. What player are they hit on the draft? Ed Oliver at 9?
Yeah.
Gregory Rousseau at 30. I like his development, but he may not be number 1. Kyrie Elam had some promising moments at 23. Like, the Bills have not drafted relatively well around Josh Allen. They've made some good moves, right? Stephon Diggs is a true top 5 receiver. I like some of those other pieces, namely Khalil Shakir took in the 5th round. Their tight end group's pretty good, Dawson Knox, but they still don't have this reliable running game. Their offensive line doesn't have much talent. So I don't think we're going to look at them differently in week 11. I think we're going to have a lot of the same really expectations on them until they prove to us we can hit on a running back in the draft.
Also, I'll say Buffalo, and one thing that's going against them, Buffalo, possible hardest division in football. Jacksonville
That's a big one.
is in a
Easiest
very
by far.
winnable and easy division.
It's a walk in the park.
So I'm not disrespecting Josh. He's a top 3 quarterback to me. But great teams, man. I give them the respect, the top 5 or 6 squad in the AFC. But this could be a regression year if this squad does not draft well, Justin. So my top 5 in the AFC would be Chiefs at number 1, Bengals at 2, Ravens at 3, Jaguars at 4. Now I expect the Jaguars next year to win more games. I have Trevor Lawrence as a sneaky MVP pick. And then number 5 after Jacksonville, I've got Buffalo, the Chargers, and my Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow. Okay. So for me, I'm going Chiefs number 1, Cincinnati Bengals number 2, Buffalo Bills number 3. I'll go, this is tough, but I'll go Jaguars number 4. And since none of you guys have touched on this, I'm just going to go with the assumption. If Aaron Rodgers is playing for the Jets, I'm going to say Jets number 5.
Oh, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth.
I would have the Jets at number 6 right behind the Bills. But until they get Aaron Rodgers, I'm not going to pencil them in, personally.
Oh, man.
It's just a matter of when, not if.
Yeah. Well,
So I think presuming Aaron Rodgers is in a Jet uniform, I have the Jets finishing number 5 in that ranking right now.